Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Golden Conversations podcast, Season 1, Episode 1, Sports Edition. I'm your host, Sean Wilson. We're here with Jada Carhey, shortstop in softball, and Coach Michael Bumpers. How you doing today?
Doing great.
Glad to have you guys here today. Today we're going to talk a little bit about your team, past, present, future, and let's get right into it. So you guys had a recent game today, doubleheader versus Central Baptist the last couple of days. Mm-hmm. You had 7-0 win and a 3-0 win. Can you give me the current state of the team and what your goals are for the next couple of weeks?
Well, I can start off with the goals. Our goals is to get better each and every day. Then we come out there and play. Got to get 1% better every time we step on the field. We had some great pitching performances this past weekend. Great defense. Jada played one of her best games yesterday, making plays in the hole, and we played 2 games of error-free softball. Okay. So that's our ultimate goal, is to continue to play with passion the way we did yesterday and continue to get better.
Okay. Well, Jan, I want to talk about your recent game against Central Baptist. I noticed you had an RBI and a run. Can you talk to me about that game and your recent performance just through this season in general?
This season, coming in as a sophomore, I had to tell myself to relax more because freshman year I was on edge, didn't play my game like I could, didn't have the confidence. But after that experience, I grew a lot with the help of my teammates and the coaches. I've grown a lot from last year. He could probably tell you the same thing.
Okay. Just to read off of your stats from this season, overall you had a great year. You've had a 1.006 OPS, which is 8th in the SWAC, a .386 batting average, which is 6th in the SWAC, 13 runs, which is tied for 4th in the SWAC, and 17 hits, which is top 10 in the SWAC. What was the biggest difference going to this year outside of relaxing and just stepping into this role as a leader on the team?
I would say the biggest difference would be the team as a whole. Like, we have each other's back. Even like Coach Bumpers from last year is different from this year. He's different. Right. So he's relaxed more too. So when he's relaxed, that helps everybody else relax.
Yeah, I get it.
Yes.
Well, going back to you, Coach, she spoke on how you've changed the last couple of years. Yeah. Can you speak on Jada's development as a player, on and off the field, being a leader?
I mean, just the overall everyday experience, just like she said. She was pressing a lot last year, and now she's more relaxed, and she's continued to get, the growth of it. And, once you see a lot of pitching, because we've seen a lot of great pitchers over the course of the last couple of years, but the team now is a lot relaxed, and, like she said, it's just slowing the game down and just making sure that, we hitting great quality pitching.
Sounds good. Okay. So who do you identify as the leaders on this team, whether it be a sophomore, freshman, senior?
Well, Jada, she's not a vocal leader, but, just by her overall performance and how she hustles and how she does the things the right way, it makes her, one of the leaders on the team. Okay. And we do have some vocal leaders on the team, but overall, as a whole group, I think they all just gel together, especially when we step between the white lines, mm-hmm. and we just kind of, grow from there.
Okay. Yeah. And who would you say is the most improved player on this roster from this last season going into this season?
The most improved from the returning players?
Yeah.
Wow. It's kind of hard to say because, there's been so much growth with everything. But it all started this summer with the summer program that we had. Now, we've had summer programs in the past, but, I think it's just something that we put out there. But now a lot of the players that came back, they actually did the summer workouts. Right. So they're a lot stronger, a lot faster, a little quicker. Mm-hmm. So that summer workout program was kind of spearheaded where we are today because, we've struggled the last few years. But I think this year is a year that every player on the roster is somebody that I recruited. Okay. Somebody that I brought in. So I was able to see everybody that we have on the squad now.
Okay. So you're bringing that recruiting cycle, kind of seeing the fruits of your labor as a coach?
Absolutely.
Okay. Yeah. Sounds good. All right. Well, Jada, I know we're in the SWAC conference. It's a lot different from other conferences. Can you speak to me about what you've seen playing here the last 2 years, the biggest difference, and what you think makes the SWAC unique?
The competition, it's very competitive, and it's fun. You can enjoy it, and it's fun. And now, not all teams, but for the most part, some of the teams you can actually, after the games, y'all can joke and get along. Some teams.
What would you say is the most memorable game you've had so far?
So far, I would say the Grambling game when we went to Graham.
This season or
Last season.
Last season? Okay. So what was that environment like? What made it so unique to you where it stands out?
It was very high. We actually ended up winning one of the games.
Okay.
And I feel like at that point, it was at the end of season, but we proved like everybody's beatable.
Okay.
And we're not the worst team in SWAC.
Right.
And we're coming out on top for this season.
Okay. So I wanted to kind of talk about your background as a softball player. What really got you into softball? How old were you when you started playing?
I started playing when I was 3, and probably around the age of 9, 10, my parents like, do you still want to play this sport? And I was like, yeah. And just from then on, like I grew up watching college softball on TV, and I knew one day I wanted to be able to play for D1 college.
Okay. Did you have a player like you modeled your game after, someone you grew up watching, like I want to be like that one day?
Yes, it was Bianca Bell. She played for LSU. She was actually number 27, so that led me to change my number to 27.
Okay, that's cool.
In junior high.
Yeah. Well, I also looked into your high school background. You won the state championship back-to-back years, I believe your junior and senior year. Can you speak on how that shaped you as a player? It's hard to win a lot at any level, let alone as dominant as you were for 2 years straight.
Yeah. That allowed me to like really grow, because that first year it was like it was scary, nerve-wracking, but when we went back, everybody was relaxed. Kind of like my second year here. That first time, scared, but coming back, I'm more relaxed and have the confidence in myself. Like, I'm good enough to do this. We're good enough as a whole to do this, and we're gonna win. So this year, I know for a fact we're gonna make it to SWAC.
Right.
That's no question.
Okay. Well, I want to talk to you about recruiting as well. When it comes to recruiting players like Jada that won at high school, is that something you look for in players when you're recruiting them?
Yeah, you always have to look for those that are winners.
Right.
Yeah, because they already know how to win before they get here.
Right.
So that way, once you get them here, once you get them here, they know how to win. So everybody that I've brought in are winners. And so that's why we're beginning to see, like you said, some of the fruits of our labor from the previous season, because they're proven winners.
So going to the next segment, I wanted to talk about your transition from a player to a coach.
Mm-hmm.
I noticed that you played professional baseball for a number of years. You were a letterman in college at the University of Arkansas.
Mm-hmm.
Can you talk about that transition as a coach to a player?
Well, the big transition was, learning from a lot of great coaches. Coach DeBron was a guy who was a X's and O's type of guy, and he kind of broke everything down for us. And then once I started playing professionally, I played under a guy named Al Gallagher, which we used to call him Dirty Al. Quick story about Dirty Al. Dirty Al, we're going to win streak. He wouldn't take a shower, but I'm never going to go that far. So I always take my showers daily.
Right.
But he was a guy. He played with Bobby Bonds, and he was a kind of an old school type of guy. And so he taught us a lot professionally.
Right.
Because, he said one thing you have to do is always be, yourself. Mm-hmm. And then you play your game.
Okay.
Yeah.
I also wanted to talk about that pro mindset. How do you kind of implement that to the girls here?
That's the transition that Jada was talking about earlier. Sometimes, in pro ball, it's all competitive, right?
Right.
And I think I was bringing that competitive nature to the team the last couple of years instead of kind of scaling it back a little bit.
Okay.
I think I was a little bit too intense with some of the things that I would do or say, and some of the, how we went about our way. But then we kind of took a look back and kind of looked over the course of last season and how I can adjust my style to fit their style. And I think right now we're kind of all gelling together.
Okay, and also lastly wanted to talk about, I know you were the baseball coach for a number of years, had a lot of good players coming out of the school.
Right.
What was the biggest transition from being a baseball coach to softball?
The biggest transition?
Yeah.
Going from trying to bring in power hitters to speed players. This softball is a game of speed. So you have to have those players that can run, that can throw, that are fast. Baseball is kind of you want to see guys that hit, gap to gap, home runs.
Right.
But softball is totally different. So you got to bring players in that are fast, that can run, that can play. Mm-hmm. And so that's the biggest transition, is the speed of the game.
Okay. Well, speaking on softball, not a lot of people know too much about softball. Can you tell me some things that are different from softball and baseball and why people should watch?
The game is a lot quicker. It's fast paced. In my opinion, baseball's boring. Softball is
Right.
like as far as the way the pitchers pitch is different.
Mm-hmm.
The length of the bases, the width of the field, that's different. And there's some rules different. Like baseball, they can have a lead off the bag because their bases are so long and leave it whenever, steal the base whenever they feel. We have to wait till the pitcher releases the ball. Yeah, and I think it's a little more intense.
Yeah.
It's more intense.
Okay. And can you talk to me about how Coach Bumpers has changed? What the biggest difference from this year to last year is?
I would say he has changed within himself and our practices. Like, I think we come to him with ideas because he has his open door policy, as he says. He has his open door policy, and we can come to him like, "Hey, Coach, I think we could try this," and he's like, "Well, what is that?" So he explained it to me, like, "Oh, okay, they might be onto something," and he'll give it a try. And using like everybody ideas, I feel like that helps us grow more. And that's improved us a lot. Like this season, the improvement, like from fall to now, like it was a totally different team than last year.
Okay.
So like with him, with his ideas and considering ours and putting it all together, practice run a lot smoother. They're better, and they're more productive.
Okay. Well, can you speak about your chemistry as a team? I know you noticed. I mean, not noticed. You mentioned that you guys have a lot more wins this year than from last season. What's up with the team chemistry? Every time I see softball around campus, I see one of you, I see all of you.
Yeah.
What's that like, and how did you grow your relationship?
Well, the chemistry is great, like on and off the field. Because on the field, if you don't have chemistry, you don't have anything on the field because it's not going to work out. If you can't trust the player that's behind you or next to you, it's not going to get anywhere. But like that helps with us, like try to do team bonding, be around each other. And now with that we're in season, we're going to be around each other a lot. So we just have to learn how to deal with each other and be there for each other and trust one another on the field and off the field.
Okay. And Coach, I wanted to piggyback off what she said before. Just managing all these personalities on and off the field. How do you make sure they stay together as one, team bonding, all that kind of stuff? How do you make sure everybody doesn't go at each other's necks after being together for so long?
I kind of let the players decide the team bonding. That way it's their thing.
Right.
And, it's not an approval on my part. They have certain times they can utilize the building and be out of the building, but they're able to do their own thing that will be more conducive for them. Instead of me trying to put something out there for team bonding. I'm 51, they're a lot younger, so some of the team bonding stuff I may want to do is not something they want to do. So I allow them to handle that. But, overall, policy-wise or I like for them to always be around each other, have each other's back. Okay. But again, once we get to the field, regardless if we have any issues, which we don't, once we get to the field, it's all one family.
Right.
And that's how we're going to continue to run it.
Okay. Yeah. What would you say was one of the biggest challenges that you've had just up this season, up to this point?
Challenges?
Yeah.
Rain.
Rain?
Yeah, that's our biggest challenge, because, our field is, when it rains, the warning track is really, really wet. So we have to work on the field. So our biggest challenge is having them to come out, the day before a game to make sure that, the field is ready for play.
Okay.
Yeah.
How would you say your team adapts in challenging situations? I actually want to ask both of you this, but I'm going to get Jada's answer first. I know in softball you say it's such a fast-paced game. I'm sure there's a lot of ups and downs in the game. How do you say your team adapts and comes together?
You got to change up the flow. So if what you were doing before not working, try something different. Like if you're not hitting, sharp ball them. Try to lay a bunt down, see how they react to that. Some way, you got to be scrappy. You got to scratch and like keep fighting to get runs. Because, you got to have a good defense to win a game, but you got to score to win.
Right. And Coach, what would you say?
Yeah, it's a game of adjustments. So you got to make sure you're making those adjustments at the proper time. Listen to what the coach is saying and what some of the players can pick up as well. So if you make those adjustments, you can be successful.
Okay. Looking forward to the end of your season. What are your guys' goals for the postseason and SWAC championship goals, stuff like that?
Yeah, our goal is to not only make it to the SWAC tournament, but also win the SWAC tournament.
So for our last segment, we're going to be talking about the future of the softball team, SWAC tournament, and just team goals overall going to the postseason. So Jada, at first I want to talk to you about the next part of the season. You guys are getting into conference play, a lot of big games. What are your goals as an individual and as a team?
Win every series. That's the team goal. Continue to play together. My individual goal would be keep my confidence up, play my game, continue to do what I'm doing, get better every day, and just want to make it to SWAC.
Okay.
Just want to make it there.
Is there a certain team? Is there a certain team you guys are gunning for? A rival maybe
There's
from
two.
last year? 2?
Yes.
What teams?
Grambling and Southern.
Grambling and Southern.
Yeah.
All right. So we'll make sure to mark our calendars for those 2
Yeah.
games.
Please be there.
Yeah, for sure. They're gonna be home games.
Yes.
Okay, sounds good. And coach, same for you. What are your goals as a coach going into this next stretch of the season, postseason, stuff like that?
Yeah. Our goal, our whole team mentality, team goal is win every series.
Right.
You know, we need to get a couple of sweeps in, here and there. But our main focus is to get at least 2 out of 3. And pitching is doing really, really well right now.
Mm-hmm.
We're number 1, number 2 at player wise in the conference. Overall, as a team, we're the number 1, have the number 1 pitching staff in the conference.
Okay.
So we just need to get our bats a little bit hotter,
Mm-hmm.
and our goal is to work on going opposite field a little bit more, because a lot of teams are throwing us away, and the adjustments that I was talking about earlier, we need to start making those adjustments.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, Jada, I know you're one of the better hitters on the team, one of the best in the SWAC. What do you think as a hitter you can do to maybe teach more people around the team, coach them up, and get them to where you're at, or you keep being consistent in what you're doing?
It's a timing thing.
Okay.
So we know you got some pitchers that'll work you in and out, but if they see you're not hitting that outside pitch,
Mm-hmm.
they're gonna keep jamming the outside. So as a hitter, you gotta be able to adjust and be like, okay, you don't have to be out as front as you would with an inside pitch, so you have to let the ball get in a little deeper and hit it where it's pitched.
Okay.
So as a batter, you have to make those in-game adjustments. Like, you can't wait to after the game during practice or go work on yourself. As a good hitter, you have to make in-game adjustments. You have to fix it then.
Okay. Well, can you give me a breakdown of the SWAC tournament, how postseason works in softball? I'm sure a lot of people don't really know too much about it. So can you break it down to me, the tournament, stuff like that?
So I really haven't experienced the tournament.
Okay.
But from my understanding, you win so many games to get there.
Okay.
And when you get there, it's double elimination. And, yeah. So at least, it's probably 2 teams from each side that doesn't make it.
Okay.
And so there's a total of 14?
Yeah,
8?
4 on each.
Yeah,
4
8
on each
teams.
side. 4 from the west, 4 from the east. That goes to the tournament.
Okay, so
Yeah.
you could probably give me a better breakdown. So you get 4 from the east, 4 from the west.
Yes, and the 1 seed plays a 4 seed on both sides, and the 2 plays a 3. And so the winner advances, the loser goes to the loser bracket.
Okay.
Again, it's 2-game elimination. From there, the final team gets an automatic bid to the NCAA tournament, so the regional. So that's our ultimate goal, is to get there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you speak on your experience as a coach in the tournament, whether it be softball or baseball, and the biggest things that you think matter the most when it goes into that time of the year?
Well, being consistent is what gets there. My very first year here, we made it to the tournament, and we had a couple of 1-run losses, and that with the squad that we had, it was a squad that I inherited, and it was just one of those things where I think they were just kind of burnt out with me.
Okay.
So that's why we really didn't advance. I was ready for graduation, and some things that just wasn't flowing during that time. But
Right.
the team that we have now, it's gonna fare a lot better.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, speaking about the future, I kind of wanted to see if you could highlight some underclassmen for me. I know Jada's only a sophomore,
Right.
but do you have any 2 or 3 any upcoming players that you feel like can make an impact on this team this season, or will make an impact in the future?
Absolutely. Kayla Adams and Danica Bryan are 2 workhorse pitchers.
Right.
So they'll get the bulk of the innings this year. Melania Francis, she's somebody that's kind of coming along, in the outfield. Milani, yeah. So she's getting more and more confident out there.
Yeah.
She rarely strikes out, and her consistency is getting a lot better for her being in the outfield. The more reps she gets, the better off she's going to be. So those three right there is basically what I'm calling the future, with Jada.
Yeah.
And but we are a young squad.
Right.
We do have 8 people that will be leaving us, but we have a lot of younger players that actually produce and do a lot of great things for us.
Okay. Well, being a younger player, can you speak about the young core you guys have as a team and how you guys just step up as leaders even though you're one of the younger people?
We knew after some of the players that left last year, like Sydney Green, she was a big time leader. Whatever she said, we're like, okay, yeah. And so we knew coming into this year she wasn't going to be here. So everybody had to step up and be a leader in some way. And especially you have to have a leader for each position because there's multiple players at each position. So you need somebody who's going to step up and stand out and take charge. And in this game, you got to know how to take constructive criticism. So if you can turn to your teammate and try to help them out, critique them, and they critique you, that's going to help you in the long run and continue your growth.
Okay. Well, I want to thank you guys for your time today. I appreciate you coming on the podcast. Coach
Thank you for having us.
And Jada. That's the Going Conversations.